Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy Sonny here, coming at you guys with another Neverwinter video. Now, before we jump into this, I want to say thank you guys so much. We hit 1,600 subscribers. This is amazing. Milestone completed. We're trying to hit 2K before the end of the year, but hey, 1,700 is next, so let's crush this one right now. But this video was granted to you by another commenter. I'll throw it up on screen right now. And he was wondering, I did a DPS choice. Now I'm going to do a healer choice. This one is going to be a little bit harder as well because I want to make this point that every healer class can heal and heal just fine. But at the same time, there are levels, and I am going to distinguish them really quick in this video for you. So hopefully you enjoy, and if you did enjoy, hit that like, subscribe if you're new. And one more thing before we jump in. Your boy Sonny has been live streaming, so I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day and stopping by and saying hello. So yeah, if you want to catch me live, ask me a couple questions, just pop on over to the live stream. We go to Twitch and on here on YouTube, so either one. But enough chit chat and enough plugging. Let's just jump into this video. In terms of races, there's a couple options in my opinion that benefit a healer the best. That is Dragonborn and Half Orc. Now, Half Orc just because of the critical severity bonus. Now, being a cleric, not a cleric, but a healer itself, you want to have as high as crit and critical severity and power as you can, just because your heals will crit. So as damage dealers, your damage will crit. Well, as healers, your heals will crit, and the better your crit are on the heals, the more potent they are. So that's why Half Orc is a really nice choice. But you can't go wrong with Dragonborn either. 5% more from healing spells, 1,500 critical strike, and 3% increased damage, plus 2 to any stats. Another choice you may be able to make way with is, sometimes I'll see clerics use a halfling, but that's more or less just for cosmetic purposes in my opinion. I don't really see the beneficial gain here, other than maybe you're a little bit faster, it seems. But honestly, if you don't have Dragonborn, then I would just go with the Half Orc. But for this, I'm just going to pick Metallic, because this is usually what I make my classes. So here we go. Let's start off with the bread and butter, the original OG of Neverwinter, the Cleric. Now, honestly, you cannot go wrong with the Cleric. These guys have been essential throughout every mod. They're viable. They're definitely top healers in the game. I've seen some clerics who can do it all, regardless of what the dungeon was. So the only problem with the cleric is, and I've seen it done before, is it's a little bit harder to solo heal Tom. Now, it's not impossible, but it's definitely harder. Other than that, the cleric can do any other dungeon and heal no problem. Okay? To an extent, solo heal. You could solo heal Lam. You can I don't know if it's possible to solo heal IC. I would assume not, just because it's still too new. But being able to solo heal Lam is a great thing, and a cleric you can do that with easily. Another good purpose about the cleric is it's also a DPS class, so you get kind of that dual purpose role there. So you can heal in the dungeons, but say you got to do your dailies, weeklies, you can use that cleric DPS loadout and get through all your shit very easily. So last video I said about 50 hours. I'll do the same thing here, 50 hours if you spend in a cleric. You're definitely going to have no problems getting into groups, because everybody needs a healer. And if you know what you're doing, man, you're damn sure going to get added and always find groups to run. That's why clerics and healers in general are just a commodity in Neverwinter, because everybody wants to do damage, it seems, but nobody wants to be support. And healers, I feel, is a role that definitely needs more in Neverwinter. So moving on, next is a new addition to the healing spectrum, because temps weren't always a thing. But since they did introduce them, these guys have been legitimate healers, and same thing, top contenders for being able to heal Tom. Now, I haven't seen a Scourge Warlock solo heal Tom, but I don't see why they can't. It's just going to be, everybody in the group has to be on the same page at that point. But at the same time, can solo heal Lam, can heal, any other dungeon just perfectly fine. You can still get in Tom, which is, the dungeon that I prefer to, because that's probably the hardest dungeon and it's not really a dungeon, but hardest trial in the game, in my opinion, just because of all the mechanics. You know, other than that, it's pretty, once you master the mechanics, it's not too bad. So if you spent 50 hours into a Warlock, still, again, has a DPS class. So, you know, you can use the healer and be fine, because I've seen some Warlock healers just do fine in dungeons in terms of damage. Or you can swap it out and use your DPS strictly class. So you have best of both worlds with this one. 50 hours again here, you're going to have no problem getting in there. Moving on to the Paladins, and for those of you out there, man, these guys, in my opinion, this might be a little people, some people might get salty, but it's the truth. These guys are the king of heals, unfortunately, within the game of Neverwinter, just due to the fact is no other healing class can give you overshield. Okay? Warlocks can't give overshield, and Clerics can't give overshield. And what is overshield is it's temporary hit points. It's like a blue bar. And literally, if the OP is spec'd right and knows what it's doing, you can constantly have a full blue bar of health throughout the whole dungeon. Deadass. So you don't ever even see your initial health bar. All you see is that blue health bar constantly. So in terms of taking damage, you don't have to worry about it. And the Slim, you can solo complete Tom fairly easily, and it's the one class that can do it consistently, and it's the one class that people want to do it, because ideally you want to go in there with one tank and one OP heal. And truthfully, when they say OP heal, they definitely mean OP heal. I think it definitely needs to be a little bit more balanced in terms of the healing, I think, because, you know, the Warlock and a Cleric just don't have any way to compete with that overshield. And it's a little unfair, but hey, you know, it's part of the game at the same time. Another good thing about the Paladin is they're also tanks. So they're amazing healers, and then they're amazing tanks. So it's almost like you get the best of both worlds with this class. This is why I love this class, and I enjoyed the hell of it. And that's why I'm actually making another one and building him back up, just because of how versatile and how much fun this class could be. Another couple things is, you spend 50 hours in here, you're definitely going to have no problem getting into groups. You know, you'll probably, in terms, and I'm going to rate these like I did the other video. Like I said, I want to make this point, stress it enough, that every class can heal, every class can do every dungeon just fine, but just the OP healers just have that slight advantage, just like, you know, the control wizards have that slight advantage for DPS. But, so we're going to put Paladins at the top. In my opinion, I would rather have a Cleric healer over a Scourge Warlock healer, just because maybe that's just my mentality kind of kicking in right now, because I've always ran with a kind of healer. Being a DC back in the day, that was, you know, the bread and butter. So to me, I really haven't ran with too many Warlock healers. But the ones I do run with, they're not bad. I just feel sometimes, you know, their heals ain't as potent as maybe some of the other classes, and I don't get as much leeway throughout the dungeon. Because say if we're running through the dungeon quickly, sometimes I feel with the Scourge Warlock, the heal comes a little bit later than if it would come with an OP and a Cleric type of deal. Now, that could just be that person running the Scourge Warlock, but that's just my experience. So that could be completely different. That could be completely different. But, you know, you have to do with that as you will. This one is definitely harder than even the DPS ones, because like I said, every class is fun to me. Every class has dual purposes, so it just really comes down to what you're feeling at the time of creation. Do you want to just rock with what, you know, every game of a MMO has in a healer? You can't go wrong there. A Cleric. Do you want that versatility of having a DPS as well as a healer? Or do you want the, you know, the complete versatility of just having the ultimate support and having both a healer and a tank? So it's not bad choices. If I was to pick one when I was playing, and if I knew this information now, 8 out of 10 times, I'm going to pick a Paladin, just because they have been consistent throughout each module, and if anything, have only been not getting better, because I don't want to say that and then they get nerfed, but they definitely have been pretty steadily, right? Definitely steady in terms of their healing capabilities. And yeah, they're just a lot of fun. So Hopefully you guys did enjoy this one. Like I said, this one is a little bit harder to make just because of the fact is every class that can heal can do their job if spec correctly, but just that OP healers have the advantage. So hopefully that helps. If it did, leave a comment down below. If you have any more questions or you weren't clear about something, I'll do my best to answer them. But anyway, guys, it has been your boy Sonny here, and as always, I will check you guys out in the next one.